Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Walt Maddox, numbers are looking better. Also, the V-Team takes a look at lying liars' lies. And over the last 20 years, every governor has debated, well, except for one.
You know what? When I stand behind you, and I put my arms around you, and I put my hands on your breast.
Whoa there, Hoss. This is a family show. But you got it. The Love Gov. He refused to debate, and he's the only one. Guess he had something to hide. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, well, slowly but surely, we're making progress in the studio. It's a little bit
The guys
better
have been
all
working
time.
really hard.
They really have.
Really, really hard.
We will not name names. Susan, this past week, we were really trying to look at candidates who may not have filed their statement of economic interest on time. And what we found was a lot of confusion. It was crazy.
Crazy confusion. I mean, it comes to find it. We go to the Ethics Commission website,
Right.
Click on Statement of Economic Interest, and use this to write an article based on what we're seeing going on ballots. Some people being kicked off in Huntsville and whatever. Come to find out, that's old law. That's old statute that was changed 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, we go to the Ethics Commission, we go to the Secretary of State's site, and we expect to get good information. It's like I got a text from somebody over at Ethics that said, well, you're quoting the wrong statute. And I'm like, well, I'm quoting the one I got from you.
From your website.
Yeah.
Well, I think this all is a result of Chip Brown from Baldwin County, whose candidacy was called into question because he didn't comply with the, law with regard to statement of economic interest. But as you said, come to find out, the law is two different things if you look in two different places. So at least he's allowed to stay on the ballot.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, and I know he would never intentionally.
And our thing was not looking at, we were looking at least a dozen candidates.
Yeah, there were several candidates, and this where they had it still listed on the website for the Ethics Commission. It involved the $1,000 rule, where you had raised or expended at least $1,000. That doesn't apply anymore.
Right.
When you're talking about filing your statement of economic interest, it applies. The ruling now says that you're a candidate in that sense when you file your paperwork with your party, and then you have to file simultaneously your statement of economic interest. Where the $1,000 still comes back in, though, is in your FCPA reports.
In other words, you have to file how much money you can raise. But I tell you, the reason these statements of economic interest are important is because it lets the public know where your money's coming from, right, Charlie? I mean, if we don't know that, we don't know where the money's coming from. We're going to look at this later on, where a senator, when he first got into office, had no consulting contracts. We find a year or so later, he had 43 consulting contracts. But Charlie, you were right there in the middle of the frustration over at APR when we were trying to figure this out. And I mean, what was your take on it?
I mean, really, just to hammer home the point that you made, is people need to be able to depend on this information. I mean, this isn't NASA. It shouldn't take a team of engineers to say, hey, we should probably update this law to reflect the change that was made to it in 2015 on their site. But I guess that's a little too complex for them.
And I have to say, they still haven't changed it. They've known about this for a week now.
It's still there.
It's still there. They haven't changed it.
Well, I mean, I guess being government, Jack, they've got to get a bid, and then they've got.
Oh, well, whoa, you're wrong about that. This is no bid state.
It's been
Even though
incorrect
Riley
for
made
3
that the
years.
cornerstone.
They want us to just say oops and let it go.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't.
Change it. I mean, it's, you know, it's verbiage. It's not, you're not changing the
But
entire
you know,
website.
the crazy thing is, we talked to 5 political consultants and 2 attorneys that are not dummies, and they were still relying on what we talked about. But these statements of economic interest are very important. Arthur Orr, Republican out of Decatur, put this bill in, it passed. They say it's to make it more transparent, right, Charlie? So now, what?
I don't know about that. The guidance seems to be really full of holes. So they didn't even mention the $1,000 threshold that was supposed to be in there. So I really don't. I mean, it was stated in the statute, but not in the guidance.
Yeah.
So that's what confused me about it.
Yeah, because they took it out and put it somewhere else.
The problem in Alabama is they don't make it easy to be a candidate because you file your statement of economic interest that shows where your income is derived from and, you know, all that other personal information. And you file that with the Ethics Commission, but you file your Fair Campaign Practices report with the Secretary of State, which shows where your contributions go and what you're spending your money on in your campaign. So it's kind of mind-boggling.
It's kind of in flux because I think that what's going to happen is people are going to get confused about when they're supposed to file what.
Yeah.
And they're not out there calming down the confusion.
And the other thing is now, Jack, they have to file, it's whenever they file their qualification papers with the party, and as far as we can tell, there's no way to actually check with the party to see if they qualified until they file their money.
Right. You can go to the only way I've found. I went through some of I went through the ALGOP site and the Democrat site, and I don't find on there a list of the candidates and when their filing date was. The only way I can figure, and I've talked to some other consultants as well, is to go to their FCPA reports and see when they paid their filing fee. Because they have to pay their filing fee on the same day as they. So that's the only way you can really find it.
But you can always go to the state party and look up who the candidates are. Yeah. But it doesn't tell you when they qualify.
Exactly.
We only got about a minute and 30 seconds. I do want to get to this. You know, Randy Davis, Republican representative out of Daphne, I think it is. Randy's from Daphne. He was indicted on federal bribery charges, conspiracy, it looks like. Susan, I didn't see this from Randy Davis.
Totally out of character for him. We've known him for 8 years. Just when I heard it, I was totally shocked. I don't think it's going to turn out the way people think it's going to turn out in this situation. I think there's some confusion in the indictment.
Well, there's always interesting bits, but I mean, Charlie, these guys came in, they told us in 2010 they were going to clean it up.
Sorry. No, well, they say clean up corruption, but I wonder if they get that confused with, you know, cleaning up and running away with the money. So, because that seems a lot more like what's...
tough, wasn't it?
She's a little tough.
Well, you know, Randy Davis is a good guy. I think he's like a band teacher from Baldwin County. But a few years ago, he went to work for a company that's not even related to the music industry, but it was a company down there where he was going to do
and gas or something
economic development.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that is. He's lobbying on behalf of the company, and you know, he's getting paid on the side. I mean, these guys are not as slick as they think they are.
But these charges relate to Trina Healthcare.
Right.
These relate to Trina, so this is, while that's a concern, this is totally not related.
Well, and I think what Charlie's saying is they come down here and they want to make more money. You know, they see the big bucks and they want to make more.
Well, Mickey Hammond, Jack Williams, I'm not surprised. Randy Davis.
Yeah.
I've got some reservations.
We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news, opinions, and analysis.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Autism has touched the lives of so many here in Alabama. It's why State Senator Tom Whatley stood up to the special interests and sponsored the bill requiring insurance plans to provide autism therapy to those in need. because Tom Whatley knows this therapy can and does change lives. And Whatley was recently recognized by the Autism Society of Alabama for his work helping the autism community. Putting people before politics. Tom Whatley.
2/3 of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to The Bee, the voice of Alabama politics. Charlie, in the last 20 years, every Republican and Democrat candidate for governor has taken a stage somewhere in Alabama with a camera and microphones on them and debated. The only governor in the last 20 years who has refused to debate is one of your favorite guys.
Oh, yeah. Robert Bentley. The only reason Robert Bentley didn't want to debate, okay, I'm not going to say the only reason because I feel like Jack might have something to say with that. But the main reason I feel like is because he didn't want Parker Griffith to confront him about the scandalous affair that was going on, the corrupt things that were happening in his office. But the thing is that Ivey's so much better than that. I don't know why she's following in someone like that's footsteps when she could just literally put down her scissors, stop with the ribbon cuttings, and just debate him. Ouch. It would make all of us feel a lot better. I would feel certainly more secure as a voter knowing that they debated each other and knowing that they've talked through their issues.
Susan?
I'm with her on this. You know, and if there aren't health concerns, if there aren't all these things, then why not show us? You know, yeah, the majority of the people, Alabamians, don't care about a debate. Well, the majority of Alabamians don't vote. But for those of us who do, those of us who take our vote very seriously, I want to see the two of them side by side. I want to see her ideas, his ideas, shake it up a little bit, see if everybody's on their game.
Jack is a longtime political consultant. You'd think it's just a waste of time.
Everything y'all said is BS.
Tell me why, Jack.
But no, if I'm Kay Ivey, why would I debate Walt Maddox? And we'll get to the poll numbers in a minute. I mean, she's way ahead in the polls. Why give? It's like, and if I had been Bentley, I would have not debated the guy that took around a duck everywhere, Parker Griffith. I mean, Bentley beat him like a redheaded stepchild, and there was no reason to debate Parker Griffith and give him a forum. Now with Kay, I mean, everybody knows Kay Ivey in this state. And people are going to know Walt Maddox. I'm not sure I would debate him because what are you going to get out of it?
As the governor of Alabama, you're a beacon for the people. You should want to give the citizens of Alabama more peace of mind in your
If you don't read the newspapers every day, then you don't deserve to know. And she's in the newspaper all the time.
All the time, yeah. Well, ribbon cuttings and restaurant openings.
The only people that are going to be affected by this debate, in my opinion, are educated independents who've not yet made up their mind.
And she's coming out and saying that the only people who care about debates are the media and Walt Maddox. And I think we all know that that's a load of bull.
Well, that's over the top. That's not true. But
then why is she saying it? If she's this just...
Well, because it's rude to say I'm 20 points ahead. And I don't want to debate, and I don't need to debate.
Yeah, I also think it's, you know, I really do. I think debates do matter. You and I were talking about that earlier. And I think it's a disservice to me. Okay, so she says it's just the media and her opponent. Well, guess what, Ms. Ivey? The media matters. And we are the people who have to transfer your voice to the people. And if we told everything we know, people would fall over dead in their tracks because they don't want to know everything we know. But it's high time that they quit hiding her behind ribbon cuttings and get out there and do the job. I mean, Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a year younger than Kay Ivey. You know, she ought to get out there. Donald Trump took on 13 Republicans and wiped the floor with them, Jack.
He did.
Why did she wipe the floor with them?
I want to see my governor wipe the floor with someone if she's so capable, is my point. That's how I feel about it.
That's what I'm thinking.
And she's got the chops for it. She's been in this game long enough to be able to stand on her
She's
own.
as rude as anybody.
I was trying to keep from going there.
She's
but
tougher than a damn $2 steak.
Harder than Chinese arithmetic.
I'm telling you.
And I like Governor Ivey.
I do too.
I mean, I get so tired of the politicians selling us that same old tired fiddle. I don't need to debate. I'm busy doing my job. Oh, give me a break. Your job ain't that hard.
No.
She's not too busy to debate. We know that she just doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to.
That's what it boils down
Well, then
to.
just say that. I'm 20 points ahead. I don't want to debate.
I'd respect that a lot more if she
All
just
right,
said
you
it.
hear that,
Yeah.
Steve Pelham?
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway.
20
Susan,
points
we
in,
only
I'm
got
not
about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Jack's going to take issue with your poll numbers, but a poll that came out this week from Kay Ivey's own campaign manager's firm says Walt Maddox is doing better than we should expect him to be doing.
The poll overall that came from Signal, which is usually a good polling house.
Which is spelled with a bunch of letters.
Anyway, yeah, it has letters
Yeah.
in it. So I'm trying to get all this in before Jack cuts me off.
Okay.
So when you look, the top numbers look great. She's 55, I think he's 42, something like that. But you start looking down into the cross tabs of the polls and you find some interesting stuff. For instance, in the Republican tab on the governor ballot for political party, Walt Maddox is pulling 26% of Republicans in this poll. Now this is a poll that was 69% Republicans that were polled overall.
So it's skewed highly
It's
Republican.
skewed highly Republican, and he's pulling 26%. Now, another thing that I looked at was between those who said they'd vote for Ivey and Maddox and those who said they would definitely vote. The difference there is kind of staggering. We're still in the Republican category here in that the Republicans that definitely would vote for Ivey are off by about 11%. In other words, she's polling at 71, but only 61 said they definitely vote for her. However, Maddox goes from 26 to 20. So he's only got 6% that are uncertain.
Jack, how do you feel about the
This
poll?
bolsters my argument. If they're 98% of the people already decided, why would you debate?
Yeah,
to get the other 10%. But no, and I respect Brent a lot. I don't think there's more than, I don't think there's less than 10% undecided. I just
Agreed.
don't.
Agreed. They're calling it 2% in this
But
poll.
you said it was skewed toward Republicans, what, 69%?
Yeah.
69%.
That's what there are. There's 69% of the state is Republican.
But I'm saying if at 69%, almost 70% of that is Republicans. The point is you got 26% of that 69% of Republicans that are voting for a Democrat.
Charlie, the thing I'd like this, the thing that I found interesting was that Kay Ivey is polling 10% lower than Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean that was a new thing that Brandon
Yeah.
brought up.
Uh-huh.
He said she's 10 points behind
Look at
behind Trump.
You might be thinking about that debate, old Jack, because a lot of these people, a lot of these people, I'm telling you, we've talked to Republicans throughout the state. They're worried about her health. They're worried about where she's making decisions or Steve Pelham's making decisions.
Well,
I would like to see her do it personally. I like when people get up and show themselves side by side with their opponent. I'm just not sure that she would be politically served best by doing it.
well, God forbid we wouldn't want to serve the people first. We must serve the gods of politics. But we're going to leave it right there. You're watching the V, the voice of Alabama politics. There are no sacred cows here, baby.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. Access to clean, affordable energy continues to be an issue of vital importance in the halls of government and around the kitchen tables across our nation. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
2/3 of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, Susan, Mike Hubbard was indicted in 2014. He was convicted and sentenced in 2016. It is now August 2018, and this crook is not in jail because the Court of Criminal Appeals refuses to do its job and rule on his appeal that was filed over 14 months ago. I mean, the last documents filed over 14
months ago. I got to tell you, this has been the longest disappointment, I have to say, because there are so many people that are involved in this. There's so many things, and the Criminal Court of Appeals simply will not rule. You can't tell me, okay, 83 volumes, 87 volumes, 830 volumes. They've had 14 months to go through this. They're putting this off for political reasons, and that is cheating the people of the state of Alabama, because we are the ones he committed that crime against, the taxpayers of Alabama, and they're denying us justice.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Charlie, it started in 14, it's 18. They can't even rule on this for some reason.
No, that's what I don't understand about it. How can someone so blatantly not have the courage to do their own job? Literally, I can make it real easy for you. You wake up, you put on your big kid underwear, and you walk in there and you make a decision. And let's finally put the damn thing to rest.
I mean, Jack, I'm willing to help out. You want to help out?
Well, let's see. Mary Wyndham recused because she accepted money from Storm PAC. Beth Kellum was sick for a while. Lyles Burke has been nominated to go to, hadn't he? To go to another. So I think they're waiting. Now, is that fair? No, it's not fair. And they should have ruled a long time ago. So I don't have any patience with them, and I have friends on that court. But this thing should not be dragging on this long. I mean, and not even for Mike Hubbard's sake, it shouldn't be dragging on this long.
And Lyles Burke is going for a federal judgeship, isn't that it? How is he going to make a decision there if he can't make a decision here?
Yeah, come see, come saw.
Whatever.
Well, I
Justice out the window.
This is a very political hot potato for a number of reasons, but not to the people of Alabama. Maybe to some of these big donors, like Yellow Fella and Will, you know what I'm talking about.
Will Brooks.
At Harvard. Those guys invested in Mike Hubbard, and I could see they're not wanting this to go to trial. But the people of Alabama, this guy was rounded up, arrested, tried and convicted, and he's still out free.
You know, if it were me, I'd be ready to put Mike Hubbard behind me. After all he put all those people through, I'd be ready to be done with it. Why can't the Criminal Court of Appeals be done with it?
And the thing is, they're waiting, I believe, for the next group to come in so they don't have to do the hard work.
Kicking the can down the road to the next bat.
I tell you what, and the state of Alabama has never seen the likes of Richard Minor and the honesty and integrity that man has. I can't wait till he and Chris McCool take
But of course,
take the bench.
And in fairness to Mike Hubbard, which I normally am not, you know, that case could have been flawed. There could be errors in it. I'm not aware what they could possibly be, but they could also throw it out and reverse it. I doubt it, but
you know what? I think if there was a political way of doing it, they would, because you know what? They don't want people in suits going to jail. They want poor people going to jail. They want working people of Alabama going to jail. They want women going to jail. They don't
not
mind.
their buddies.
But not their buddies. That's
I
the
don't think
problem.
they want people to go to jail.
Well.
I don't think they want people to
They'd
go to jail.
rather.
They'd rather.
Those
well,
people.
if you had to flip a coin and say, you know, but
I don't see any difference between robbing a convenience store and what Hubbard did. What Hubbard did is worse.
He did it with a gavel, not a gun.
They would rather put somebody in jail for robbing a gas station to feed their family than to put this jack in jail.
How many cases have
this jack in jail for just doing it to enrich
That isn't why
himself.
people rob convenience stores.
No, I need some crack.
There is a
right.
difference
They
there.
don't rob to feed their family.
Well, I don't care if they're. I mean, the guy that's robbing the store to get crack makes more sense to me than what Hubbard did. The guy was driving a Mercedes. His wife's got a Range Rover. Everything's white and pink and bashful and blush, and he's screwing the people of Alabama.
I don't disagree with anything you said, but it wasn't a violent crime. But they should have ruled. I mean, I totally agree with you guys.
Well, I want to get to a guy that escaped justice, in my opinion. We were talking about the statement of economic interest. Senator Phil Williams from Rainbow City, who wanted to, keep gays out of all bathrooms or something, whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
He wanted them to hold it. But anyway.
Wanted them to, probably flash their dress to make sure they were women.
Let's get to the serious part of this. A few years ago, we reported that he went from having no consulting clients to having 43 consulting clients once he became a senator. We reported on it. Law enforcement, we heard from law enforcement. He was under investigation. Bentley, and just recently, in 6 hours of deposition, said, oh yeah, Phil Williams was under investigation, and they were after him hot and heavy. And then said he came to me, and he said he went to the Ethics Commission, and they cleared him. Well, the Ethics Commission says they never cleared him. But what happened, Susan, is when they fired Spencer Collier, Gene Wiggins went in there and physically, Jack, took the case away from the investigator, and we never heard of it again.
But, Phil Williams called us a liar, said there was no investigation.
Right.
Spread that through the Montgomery Advertiser, through AL.com, through the Gadsden Times, which you had a conversation with the editor. By the way, you do owe him an apology now, calling you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie went everywhere in the world and said we were all liars. Meanwhile, Bentley comes back and goes, oh yeah, he knew everything about it.
For Bentley, no, everybody else should have known.
Yeah, no
but yeah, I mean, clearly, if he did pick up 43 clients in a matter of a few years in the legislature.
Several of which were municipalities in his district.
Well, it's clearly using your office for personal financial gain, which, by the way, which many Alabamians don't know because of all the crooks who get away with it, it's against the law.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he broke the law. Law enforcement told us he broke the law. But because he was buddies with Bentley, and because he had buddies over at the Ethics Commission, he walked away scot-free.
Yes, he did. Now, thank goodness he's about to be former Senator Phil Williams. Good for Gadsden and Rainbow City.
Just for the
record. Well, now, do we know that the investigators didn't say, we'll let you off if you don't run again?
It could have been. I mean, that's classic. That's classic.
That's happened.
Well, anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.